What does it take to calm the storm of religious division tearing a nation apart? Imagine a kingdom where faith dictates allegiance, and the throne is as much a battlefield as the crown. This was England in the mid-16th century, where Queen Elizabeth I took on the Herculean challenge of reconciling bitter religious factions through what became known as the Elizabethan religious settlement, a delicate dance of doctrine and diplomacy that still echoes through history today. The roots of this turbulent era stretch back to the reign of Henry VIII, Elizabeth's father, who first severed England's church from the Pope's authority in Rome, setting the stage for religious upheaval. His son, Edward VI, pushed the realm toward a more clearly Protestant identity, but the pendulum swung back with Mary I, staunchly Catholic and infamous for persecuting Protestants, earning her the grim nickname Bloody Mary. When Elizabeth ascended to the throne in the late 16th century, she inherited a fractured nation aching for relief from bloodshed and chaos. Elizabeth was no radical zealot, rather she was a shrewd and cautious ruler seeking a middle path. Her famous motto might well have been, "Caution over conflict." When she was crowned, the Mass was permitted, but she notably left the service before the elevation of the host, signaling her subtle yet decisive rejection of the Catholic doctrine of transubstantiation. This act embodied her political and religious tightrope walk, blending Catholic tradition with Protestant reform. Her religious policy aimed to forge a church that was Protestant in doctrine, Catholic in appearance. This was not simply theological compromise, it was a strategy to unify a divided people without reigniting the fires of civil war. Elizabeth's personal chapel retained candles and a crucifix, while services employed the English language instead of Latin, appealing to broad sensibilities across the spectrum. Crucially, Elizabeth asserted herself as the supreme governor of the Church of England through the Act of Supremacy in 1559, reopening the rift with Rome. This act was a bold political statement as much as a religious one, re-establishing the monarch's authority over spiritual matters. Though many Catholic bishops resisted, leading to arrests and imprisonments, Elizabeth softened the title to Supreme Governor rather than Supreme Head of the Church, a subtle concession that helped placate both gender prejudices and fervent Protestants. Just months later, the Act of Uniformity laid down the law on how churches should look and worship. Gone were the altars of old, replaced by communion tables that symbolized a move away from Catholic Mass traditions. Yet some Catholic customs remained. The sign of the cross at baptisms, priests' vestments, and modest crucifixes and candles on the communion tables, all carefully calibrated to maintain a sense of familiarity for the congregants. The acts mandated church attendance, imposing modest fines for truancy, while attendance at a Catholic Mass became illegal and punishable by harsher penalties. This delicate legal framework walked a razor's edge, enforcing conformity without provoking rebellion. The royal injunctions added another layer of control, dictating that preachers must be licensed and hold regular services, books of the Bible must be available in English, and pilgrimages were banned to curb Catholic practices. 7 years later, the final piece fell into place with the 39 Articles, a statement of doctrine clarifying the beliefs that defined English Protestantism, or Anglicanism, distinctly separate from Rome, but avoiding the extremes of radical reformers. One of the most eloquent expressions of this new Anglican identity was the Revised Book of Common Prayer. Unlike earlier versions that edged toward radical Protestantism, the 1559 edition struck a moderate tone. It redefined communion not as a literal transformation, but as a heartfelt remembrance of Christ's sacrifice, a subtle yet profound theological pivot that both Protestants and more traditional believers could accept. Despite these conciliatory measures, not everyone was pleased. Rome excommunicated Elizabeth for heresy in the year 1570, cementing the ongoing religious divide. Catholic nations like Spain and France watched carefully, wary but cautious, while within England, hardline Protestants and Catholics alike grumbled at the compromises. Yet Elizabeth's pragmatic approach held strong. She replaced many pro-Catholic bishops and redirected taxes once sent to Rome to her own government coffers. Though hundreds of priests resigned in protest, many more quietly conformed or kept their dissent beneath the surface, maintaining a fragile peace that preserved the nation. This story is not just one of religious law and royal edicts, but a human drama of a queen balancing conviction with tolerance, power with prudence. Elizabeth's reforms laid the groundwork for the Anglican Church, whose characteristics still shimmer in today's global communion. Why does the Elizabethan religious settlement matter now? because it reminds us that in times of division, leadership sometimes demands not the sword but the subtle art of compromise. It stands as testimony that peace and unity can be negotiated even when belief systems seem irreconcilable. Enjoyed the video? Give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more. See you in the next one.